Moses, one of the most iconic figures in human history. Known as Moshe in Hebrew and MUSA in Arabic, he stands as a towering prophet, liberator, lawgiver, and exemplar of faith whose life and mission have profoundly shaped the three major Abrahamic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But a common question arises among those exploring interfaith connections. Is the Moses depicted in the Bible the exact same figure as the MUSA described in the Quran? Or do the sacred texts present notable variations in his character, actions, and theological significance? In this in-depth exploration, we'll carefully compare the two primary portrayals side by side, drawing from the Hebrew Bible, particularly the Torah, Old Testament books of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the broader Christian Bible, which includes New Testament references, and the Quran, where MUSA is the most frequently mentioned prophet, appearing over 130 to 136 times across more than 30 surahs. We'll highlight the deep similarities that bind these traditions together, unpack the differences in narrative details, emphasis, tone, and doctrinal implications, and consider what these reveal about the shared religious heritage of billions. Whether you're studying comparative religion, deepening your own faith, or simply curious about ancient stories that continue to influence modern culture and dialogue, come along as we trace Moses' path through the courts of Egypt, the waters of the Red Sea, the wilderness wanderings, and the slopes of Mount Sinai. The central question: are there meaningful differences between Moses in the Quran and Moses in the Bible? The answer is yes, yet the core legacy endures powerfully. Let's begin with the fundamentals. Who is Moses, MUSA, and why has his story resonated for thousands of years? Across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Moses is universally honored as a divinely appointed prophet and messenger tasked by God to rescue the oppressed Israelites, Bani Israel, from brutal enslavement in Egypt, deliver God's guidance and laws, confront tyranny, perform awe-inspiring miracles, and led his people toward spiritual and physical freedom. His life embodies themes of divine justice, human perseverance, liberation from oppression, submission to God's will, and the establishment of ethical monotheism. The biblical narrative offers a largely continuous, chronological biography spanning four main books, Exodus through Deuteronomy. These texts, part of the Torah in Judaism and the Old Testament in Christianity, were compiled and edited over centuries, roughly 10th-5th centuries BCE, reflecting ancient Israelite identity, covenant theology, and historical memory. In contrast, the Quranic account, revealed to Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century CE over 23 years, does not present a single linear biography. Instead, Musa's story unfolds in scattered, thematic episodes across multiple surahs, e.g., Al-Baqarah 2, Al-Araf 7, Yunus 10, Hud 11, Taha 20, Ash-Shura 26, An-Naml 27, Al-Qasas 28, and Al-Isra 17. The emphasis falls on moral and spiritual lessons, such as Tawhid, absolute monotheism, patience in adversity, warnings against arrogance, and the consequences of rejecting divine signs, rather than strict historical sequence. This non-linear style suits the Quran's purpose, reinforcing faith amid 7th century Arabian polytheism and tribal challenges. Both traditions likely draw from ancient Near Eastern oral and written motifs, but each adapts them to its audience and theological framework. The Bible for an emerging Israelite nation, the Quran to affirm and clarify monotheism in a polytheistic context while revering prior prophets. Moses in the Bible. A flawed, reluctant, yet faithful human leader, the biblical Moses emerges in Exodus chapters 1 to 2 amid Pharaoh's genocidal decree to drown Hebrew newborn boys. His mother, Yocheved, fearing for his life, places him in a reed basket on the Nile. Pharaoh's daughter discovers the child, takes pity, and adopts him as her son, naming him Moses, drawn out of the water. His biological sister Miriam cleverly arranges for their mother to nurse him secretly. Raised in luxury, adult Moses witnesses an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. In rage, he kills the taskmaster and buries him, but the act is discovered, forcing Moses to flee to Midian. There, He defends the daughters of a priest, Reuel, Jethro, at a well, marries one, Zipporah, and tends flocks for years. God dramatically calls him at the burning bush on Mount Horeb, Sinai, commissioning Moses to return to Egypt and demand freedom for the Israelites. Moses protests repeatedly, citing a speech impediment, stutter, inadequacy, and fear, begging God to send someone else. God provides reassurance, miraculous signs, staff becoming a serpent, leprous hand healed, and appoints Aaron as his eloquent spokesperson. In Egypt, Moses and Aaron confront Pharaoh with the famous plea, "Let my people go." Pharaoh's hardened heart triggers the 10 plagues in escalating sequence. Nile turning to blood, frogs, gnats, lice, flies, livestock pestilence, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and the death of firstborns. The Passover ritual protects Israelite homes. The dramatic escape follows. God parts the Red Sea, or Reed Sea. Israelites cross on dry ground. Pharaoh's pursuing army drowns as waters return. In the wilderness, God provides manna, quail, and water from struck rocks. At Sinai, Moses ascends to receive the 10 Commandments and extensive laws, including the covenant, tabernacle instructions. Tragically, while Moses is on the mountain, the people worship a golden calf. Moses descends in fury, smashes the tablets, and oversees punishment. Moses faces repeated rebellions, intercedes for the people, and leads 40 years of wandering due to their lack of faith. He sins by striking a rock twice instead of speaking to it, Numbers 20, barring him from entering Canaan. From Mount Nebo, he views the promised land but dies at 120. God buries him in an unknown grave. The Bible presents Moses as deeply human, passionate, angry, doubtful at times, yet profoundly obedient and intimate with God, face to face. In Christianity, Moses prefigures Christ, both deliverers, lawgivers, mediators of covenants, with parallels like the Transfiguration and Sermon on the Mount echoing Sinai. Moses in the Quran, an exemplary messenger emphasizing Tawhid and divine sovereignty. The Quran refers to MUSA far more than any other prophet, 136 plus mentions, yet disperses his episodes to underscore lessons in faith, monotheism, and moral conduct. His birth parallels the Bible but with heightened divine intervention. God inspires his mother to cast him into the river, reassures her through revelation that he will return safely and become a messenger, and directs events so Pharaoh's wife Asiya, a heroic, faithful figure in Islam, rescues him from the river and convinces Pharaoh to adopt the child. Asiya becomes a model of piety. As a youth, MUSA accidentally kills an Egyptian during a scuffle while defending an Israelite. He flees to Midian, assists 2 women at a well, daughters of Shuaib, Jethro, marries one after serving her father, often for a set period of years, with payment implied in some interpretations, and gains experience. God calls him in the sacred valley of Tuwa, near Sinai, via the burning tree, bush. MUSA shows reverence and accepts the mission more readily, requesting only Aaron's assistance for support, not out of deep reluctance. God grants 2 key signs: the staff transforming into a serpent and his hand glowing white, without leprosy association. MUSA confronts Pharaoh boldly, preaching pure monotheism, Tawhid, against idolatry. The signs, ayat, include plagues like floods, locusts, frogs, blood, and others, presented as warnings, not always in the biblical order, with fewer enumerated, 9 profound signs in some verses. A dramatic magician contest occurs, absent in Bible. Pharaoh's sorcerers compete, but MUSA's signs prevail, leading some to believe. The Exodus unfolds. Israelites cross the parted sea, Pharaoh and army drown. At Mount Tur, Sinai, MUSA receives the Torah. The golden calf episode features a figure called Samiri crafting the idol. Aaron warns the people and is not blamed. MUSA forgives and emphasizes mercy. MUSA's story highlights miracles as proofs of God's power. his role warning against shirk, associating partners with God, and endurance through trials. Islamic theology holds prophets as masum, protected from major sin, so Musa's actions reflect human emotion without moral failing. His death receives less detail. He ascends for communion with God, 40 nights, returns to guide, but no punitive exclusion from the land is stressed. Shared foundations. The profound similarities that unite despite variations, the core narrative unites the traditions, reflecting a common Abrahamic heritage. Both affirm Moses as born under infanticide threat, placed in the river as a baby, raised in Pharaoh's household, killing an Egyptian, accidentally or in defense, fleeing to Midian, marrying there, called by God at a holy mountain via burning bush, tree, performing miracles, staff serpent, sea parting, leading the Exodus, with Pharaoh's army destroyed, receiving divine scripture, law at Sinai, facing the golden calf rebellion, providing for the people, e.g., manna, quail, water from rock. Key overlapping miracles include the staff serpent, sea parting, and sustenance in the desert. Theologically, God is one, merciful, just, and liberates the oppressed through his prophet. Moses models trust in God amid trials. Scholars trace these parallels to shared ancient traditions, with the Quran affirming the Torah's divine origin while claiming later textual alterations, tarif, in transmission. Key differences. Details, emphasis, tone, and theology. Yes, differences exist, ranging from subtle narrative tweaks to deeper theological shifts. Birth and adoption. Bible. Pharaoh's daughter adopts, subtle providence. Quran. God actively inspires and reassures. Asiya, Pharaoh's wife, adopts, emphasizing divine sovereignty. Calling and character. Bible. Moses reluctant, argues, stutters, needs convincing. Quran. Musa odd but submissive, no stutter, prophets as near ideal models. Miracles and plagues. Bible. 10 specific plagues in order. Quran. 9 signs, ayat. Some overlap, blood, frogs, locusts, others unique, floods, glowing hand added. Focus on proofs of Tawhid. Exodus scale. Bible. Approximately 600,000 men, implying millions. Quran. No numbers, implies smaller group, small band, avoiding debates over historical, archaeological plausibility. Golden calf. Bible. Aaron involved in making it, Moses angry, punishes. Quran. Samiri crafts it, Aaron innocent and warning, forgiveness emphasized. Midian episode. Bible. 7 daughters at well. Quran. 2 women, service term, payment noted. Death and legacy. Bible. Detailed, views land, dies at 120 for sin, rock incident, God buries. Quran. Less focus on death, prophethood central. Style and purpose. Bible. Linear, historical, covenant focused. Quran. Thematic, repetitive for moral reinforcement, Musa as model for Muhammad. Theological role. Bible. Covenant mediator, Christian typology to Jesus. Quran. Rasul with Tawrat, chain of prophets culminating in Muhammad, unwavering monotheism. Additional Quranic elements. Magician's contest, emphasis on Pharaoh's tower, with Haman in some contexts. Implications. Unity, diversity, and modern dialogue. For believers, differences aren't contradictions. Jews, Christians hold the Bible authoritative. Muslims see the Quran as the final, preserved clarification. Historically, these accounts fueled rich exchanges, e.g., medieval philosophers. Today, they inspire interfaith efforts. Shared liberation themes link Passover and Islamic retellings. Differences enrich. Biblical Moses' humanity offers relatability for personal struggles. Quranic Musa's exemplar status inspires ethical aspiration. Archaeology notes no direct Moses evidence, but Egyptian slavery motifs align broadly. In our connected 2026 world, exploring these fosters empathy across divides. Conclusion. A timeless legacy of faith amid diversity. Differences certainly exist, in particulars, portrayal, and emphasis. Yet Moses, Musa remains a unifying symbol. God's chosen servant, champion against oppression, recipient of revelation, guide through trials. His story, across Bible and Quran, teaches courage, justice, monotheism, and devotion. In an often fractured world, Moses bridges traditions, reminding us of our shared prophetic roots and the enduring call to freedom and faith. What aspect of these accounts, similarities or differences, stands out most to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts.